Hey y'all, Taker here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we have a very special figure. We have Enrico Pucci from Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 6. And this figure marks the first merch I have ever bought for the Jojo series, which is incredibly surprising because Jojo's is one of my favorite anime of all time. I'm all caught up with the anime. I'm an anime only. I don't feel like catching up with the manga. I'm just trying to dodge spoilers where I can when it pertains to Part 7, Part 8, and now Part 9. So we'll see if I can survive till then. And, man, Part 6, if it isn't obvious enough for Pucci being my first JoJo's figure, Part 6 is my most favorite JoJo's part of all time. It's a pretty, and it's a pretty decisive part. There's a lot of people who love it, and there's a lot of people who hate it. Some people hate how bizarre that part is, but for me, the more bizarre, the better. That's just how it works for me. But with that being said, let's get right into the figure. Pucci's V-taper is immaculate. The way it tapers down to his waist and comes back out with the rest of the priest coat swaying in the wind just looks so dynamic, looks so powerful, looks so beautiful. It's a very good balance between masculine and, I would even dare say, feminine like qualities. The JoJo's aesthetic is just so flamboyant. I love the JoJo's aesthetic. This figure with the posing and the sculpting just screams JoJo's, which is fantastic to see. When you go all the way down to the base, you'll notice that Pucci is standing on a hand. That hand being Whitesnake, his stand that he uses in the anime. And that's just an amazing detail. The base overall is pretty plain, but that hand really elevates the style of this figure. I'm not the biggest fan of effect pieces, but I feel like the effect piece that's surrounding Whitesnake, it actually elevates the figure even more. I just really do enjoy the color palette that's going on with Pucci. I really do like the purple of the belt really leads well into the purple of the effect piece, and the directional spinning of the effect piece kind of leads into how the wind, how there's like this power, this wind that's blowing his coat and his hair. It's a really good composition. So I feel like the effect pieces usually, in my experience, I feel like the effect pieces usually take away from the figure, but I feel like this effect piece adds to the figure, which is fantastic to see overall. Now the manufacturer Medicos really brought their A game to this figure because they included a lot of bonus pieces so that you can kind of mess around with how he's being presented. So he comes with two belts. The standard belt that he wears is more of like a straight across the waist type. So you can change that belt out for more of a belt that kind of places itself sideways. In my opinion, it's a very minimal change, but it's nice that the option is there just in case you want the belt to kind of look like it's more leaning off of Pucci's waist versus just nicely cinched onto his waist. It's nice. It's a nice thing to have. Another perk is that his belt also just can be taken completely off, and they have I'm very nervous about the little black piece they include because it's just so small. It's such an easy piece to lose. But you can take the belt off entirely and you can close up the hole that it leaves with the little black piece, then being able to present him with no belt at all. And going back to my comments about the base, I feel like the belt really ties the whole figure together, but I appreciate that Medicos gave us the option to do that if we so please. So props to them. And the other bonus piece is a extra head. So the head that's on this Pucci, if I word it correctly, this is when he makes a fusion with Dio's remains, and it leads to him getting Dio cells inside of his body. So he forms like a star with his facial hair and just some really crazy hair. That can actually be changed out for his pre-deified form, how he's introduced in the series in the first part of part 6. You do have that option of taking his headpiece off and swapping it off with his original look, which again is great to see. I personally like when he gets closer to Maiden Heaven, so I like when he has the more Dio look to him. But again, options. This figure has a good amount of options. I guess I'll just go into the cons about this figure, because there are a couple of issues that I've noticed. The first thing I noticed is that, I don't know, his face doesn't look as good as his promotional photos. He's really dependent on the lighting. You need to get some really good lighting to make him look how he looks in his promotional pictures. It still looks like Pucci, but just something about it. I feel like Medicos never has the strongest face sculpts. This is apparent from my review of Jahi-sama from a couple weeks back. They do pretty good on the body sculpts. Medicos does a really good job on body sculpting, but when it comes to the face and even to the hands, they can be a little bit hit or miss. But for the most part, he looks really good. I don't really have many complaints. A second thing is that he came out a lot smaller than I expected. I kind of expected him more to be close to a 1/8 scale, but he definitely leans more along the side of like a 1/9 or not 1/10. Somewhere around the size of a pop-up parade figure, if you don't include Whitesnake. Which, for the money being spent, I would have liked closer to a scale figure. I would have liked a bigger version of Pucci. Bigger is always better, as they say. So, but I mean, it is what it is. I'm not gonna be complaining too much about that. And finally, this is the most egregious part. This is the most egregious con. And it's that the pegs in his feet don't fully connect with the base. It's really hard to get him. Actually, I shouldn't even say it's hard. It's just impossible to make him flush with Whitesnake's hand. The pegs kind of are always perpetually sticking out, and any pressure from the sides of his body, if you press onto any of the sides of his body, he'll pop out of the base. So it's a little scary handling him because he's not fully secured. So that's a pretty big oopsie by Medicos that he isn't fully secured. What I've learned about Medicos is I feel like they lean closer to more budget scale figures / non-scale figures than the more expensive companies like Alter and Freeing, etc. So you kind of pay for what you get. I'm just happy that I got him at about $100. And with that, that's all I really have to review today. If you liked what you saw, please comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. See ya!